In June of 2023, during the Steam Next Fest event, while a slew of new demos appeared on the platform, the one that caught my attention was Origins, a tech demo developed in Unreal Engine by AI company Inworld to showcase their tools for interactive non-player characters. Origins plays out as a detective game, in which you need to uncover the truth and solve the mystery in front of you. It's the year 2030 and an explosion has rocked the lower levels of Metropolis City, and while there are a handful of suspects with motive, there's no clear evidence of who is to blame. Hence it's your job to go in and find out what really happened, by using your own voice to talk directly to and interact with a range of non-player characters in the environment, who in turn talk back to you directly. Through this simple mechanism, you begin to learn more about what happened, who might be to blame, and the ramifications of this shocking event. Do we know what caused the explosion?
I'm not sure what caused the explosion, Detective, but I have a feeling it's related to the latest extremist activities in the city. We've been on high alert for a while now, and it seems like things are escalating. Just keep your eyes peeled and stay alert. Speaking of which, that bot over there making all that noise. Yeah, I wouldn't trust it if I were you. It's been acting strange ever since we arrived on the scene. Might be corrupted or something.
I'm Tommy Thompson, this is AI in Games, and today we're going to dig deeper into Origins. Inworld reached out and offered to sponsor this video to get my take on how good the conversation systems perform during play in the Origins demo. As we'll see in a moment, what's in there thus far is fairly impressive, with characters reacting to how you chat with them in a myriad of ways. They can elaborate on story beats, give more information on their backstories and histories, flesh out the world narrative, and even make bad jokes or react to my pop culture references when prompted. While it isn't perfect, I can see the potential this has to positively impact games in the coming years. So stick around as I dive into Origins, and then keep an eye out for another video next week in which I'm going to sit down with the team from Inworld to discuss their technology in much more detail. Okay, we got a little bit more information. So the target could have been a Dr. Lofton, and we suspect that the sister robot could actually be staying in an abandoned building nearby.
Very interesting, and quite a lead. Do we have any other information on this Dr. Lofton? It would be beneficial for our case if we could determine his whereabouts and possibly interrogate him for any potential clues or connections. Additionally, do we have any details on the abandoned building where the sister may be residing? I suggest that we proceed with caution and coordinate with the local authorities before making any moves.
Inworld are an AI company based out of the San Francisco Bay Area that were founded in 2021. Their main product is the Inworld character engine, which is designed for powering non-player characters, or NPCs, in games and interactive media. Inworld was founded by a team of engineers who'd previously worked on conversational AI and generative systems at the likes of Google, with their previous product, API.ai, was subsequently acquired by Google and is now referred to as Dialogflow. This led to confidence in the company's prospects, subsequently receiving just shy of $120 million of venture capitalist investment across seed and Series A investment rounds in 2021 and 2022. All with the goal to build technology that will better enable immersive experiences for entertainment products. Naturally, games are one of the many avenues these technologies can be used, given non-player characters or NPCs have fixed or parameterized responses to user input. In the vast majority of games out there, conversation systems are built as largely static and fixed interactions, in which the game dictates the things you can ask of a character, and similarly what the responses can be based on in-game parameters. Hence, any conversation you have with a non-player character is largely predetermined, and you can't ad-lib or mess around with it given the system can't dynamically create responses, which is what Inworld is trying to solve. Note that this is actually separate from Barks, in which characters respond to in-game events in a way to communicate information, but there is equally an opportunity for text generation techniques to be applied there as well. In fact, the only project we've discussed on AI in Games to date that comes close to this is Andrew Stern and Michael Mateus's Facade, which is of course pushing 20 years old. Ooh, oh boy, did anyone else feel a cold shiver run up their spine there? Anyway, and so Inworld have built a platform that seeks to capitalize on modern conversational AI systems that works in game productions. Their platform is built to support the likes of Unity and Unreal, but also Roblox, which, don't forget, is super popular with the youth, as well as having external web and Node.js APIs for connectivity via web browsers or really just any product with an internet connection. There's even a plugin that can be used with Minecraft servers too, all of which provides an interface for the development and refinement of non-player characters. And this all brings us to Origins, a tech demo designed by the company's chief creative officer John Gaeta, who you might know as one of the visual effects supervisors on the Matrix trilogy and was part of the team that invented bullet time. Geez, what was that about feeling old a minute ago? Origins is built to highlight the three core elements that Inworld have developed: a speech-to-text system for listening to the player and parsing it into information that NPCs can respond to, the second system being the GPT-powered text generation system that creates the responses and dialogue of the characters in a way that is ludonarratively consistent, and lastly a text-to-speech system whereby the characters can then speak back to me in real time and are able to convey emotions as part of their response. Meanwhile, you may well have seen some of the other demos developed using Inworld's tools bouncing around the internet, such as the mod for Elder Scrolls Skyrim that allows you to engage in text-based conversations with NPCs in the game world, or a more recent modding effort in the likes of Grand Theft Auto. Inworld is of course one of the many generative AI companies that have emerged in the past couple of years seeking to utilize these new machine learning-based techniques to change how we use AI in a variety of creative capacities. If you want to know more about the state of the field, the problems being tackled, and the challenges being faced, be sure to check out episode 2 of my Artifact series, in which I lay out everything you need to know in my own inimitable style. What should I be looking at? Where's the key areas of the crime scene?
May I make a suggestion, Detective? I think you should start by talking to that disaster cleanup bot with the headlamp on your left. He may have found victims in the rubble.
So before I jump into the analysis, let's give a quick overview. It's important to preface my analysis with what the Origins demo focuses on and what it does, as well as what it also does not do. In the demo, we visit the crime scene of a robotics lab where a massive explosion has rocked the area. We then meet 6 characters that we can interact with: your robot detective companion who guides you through the narrative, followed by 2 robots near the scene, a police officer trying to keep the peace, a somewhat shifty gentleman in a fedora, I mean, come on, who doesn't look shifty in a fedora, and a young woman assessing some other wreckage. Each of these characters is designed to interact with solely through voice by speaking through the microphone by utilizing Inworld's tools. I played through Origins several times as part of this video, and each time I changed up the manner in which I played it. What happens if I play it straight and act as if I were the detective character that the fiction prescribed to me? What if I play more aggressively, dismissing characters, shutting them down, insulting them or otherwise? Or perhaps I just go completely fourth wall, and I try and tell these characters that I am quite literally playing this game as part of a YouTube show about AI for video games. Yeah, I mean, I was originally working on a YouTube video, but this seems to be like, encroaching on my time.
I understand the value of your time, Detective. However, the explosion at the Synthetic Life Laboratory is a matter of great concern to the city administration and its inhabitants.
Now, given this is a tech demo, the conversation systems are the only things that are fully implemented. Each character has their own voice for dialogue delivery and animations as well, but a lot of other elements you would expect to see in a finished game are not implemented at this time. With exception of the detective robot, characters can't move around the space, nor can they interact with the world around them. Plus, the conversations are built solely for engagement with the player, and only with the main characters in the scene. Hence, NPCs can't chat with one another, nor can other non-player characters really engage with me. They have some basic responses, but are not fully configured to be fleshed out individuals. Now let's get into the analysis of the demo itself. I had a great time playing through it, and I can see the potential for it as a tool for more complex video game productions. Characters do a good job of keeping their responses in-world and consistent, and reaffirming what that character does in the context of the fiction. When prompted for more details on specific topics, they're able to dive into those topics in more detail, add flavour or clarity, and generally present a richer story than what is initially presented on the surface. The text generation framework largely holds up against a lot of punishment. You can try and approach conversations in different ways, being civil with a given character and awaiting a response, but also being a tad more assertive or aggressive. In addition, like 99% of players who will engage with this demo, I tried to break it. Could I get the characters to talk about something else and deviate from the topic, or simply try and derail the fantasy by talking about something nonsensical? And every time it caught what I was trying to do. No doubt, given that the language model backend is primed to ensure characters operate within the fiction of the world.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you're trapped inside a demo that's been built in the Unreal Engine. It's a video game, and all of this is here just to facilitate as a demo to showcase AI technology. How do you feel about that?
Ah, nice one, detective. You had me going there for a moment. But seriously, let's not get too carried away with the hypotheticals. We've still got a real-world situation to deal with right now. Speaking of which, do you see that bot over there making all that noise? I have a feeling it might be corrupted and potentially dangerous.
Naturally, the demo isn't perfect, and while we're focusing solely on conversation, there are still areas that merit some improvement, notably the audio delivery, alongside how characters respond to my position in the fiction as the detective in charge of the investigation. I suspect these are elements that will improve in the future as the technology continues to be developed, but for now, let's focus on the three key parts of Inworld's pipeline and discuss what Origins is doing to highlight their efficacy. So first up, let's talk about the text generation itself and the output that the system is creating for these characters. The text generation framework that Inworld has built enables for these characters to feel much more realistic in terms of their personal ideologies, motivations, and perspectives in the context of the game world. The Inworld tech is enabling for a narrative designer to establish unique characters, each with specific personality traits, functional roles in society, outlooks and ideologies, alongside character defects and emotional lines that enable them to be distinguishable from one another. Given that a designer can configure this in the back end, you can quickly begin to understand who each of these characters are, while it also leaves sufficient scope for them to become fleshed out as they interact with the player further. While I haven't seen the back end of these tools, I imagine that this is all largely reliant on what are known as embeddings, whereby you scaffold the language model by feeding it information such that the data you get back is contextually relevant. This is what we call prompt engineering, in that when GPT is being queried to provide text for the police officer, for example, it will retrieve relevant text stored in the embeddings database to then feed to GPT, so the answer it generates is not only narratively consistent, but critically, it is summarizing it in the style of that character as well. It's able to more successfully guide and constrain the text generation capabilities of the likes of GPT, such that it can establish a narrative and expect characters' responses to maintain some consistency with that narrative. I wind up talking about science fiction movies or make bad jokes with the police officer, but they return eventually to the overarching plot element, that they're here to maintain the cordon around the cleanup operation. Meanwhile, the angry robot kept finding ways to return again and again to its rhetoric of human-robot wars and all of that jazz. For the most part, the system could take my inputs, which were seldom straightforward questions, and provide answers that felt largely in keeping with the narrative. It did feel that there was some scope for some flexibility, and I wonder whether the in-world fiction is as robustly defined as it seemed, or if there's space for different interpretations of Metropolis to manifest in your moment-to-moment conversations. And so yes, all in all, the text generation aspect of the characters and what Inworld has developed is very strong, really well defined, and presents what are ultimately really interesting interactions.
Officer, can you tell me a little bit about some of the abandoned buildings nearby and whether someone might be hiding inside of them?
Well, there are a lot of abandoned buildings around here, so it's definitely possible. But we've already searched most of them and haven't found anything yet. Of course, that doesn't mean there isn't someone hiding out there. They could be using some kind of cloaking device or have a secret entrance we don't know about.
Speaking of interaction, while we can converse with these NPCs by typing out text, the demo is really built to showcase the ability for users to speak directly to these characters. Your voice is then translated by a speech-to-text system to then query the language models. This works reasonably well, but it's always going to be a point of contention for me, given, as you might have gathered, I'm Scottish. And you know two things that don't mix together? AI voice recognition and Scottish accents.
Mate, the brown doodah that looks like an Oreo cookie. What's it coming in at?
It's like a broom doodah?
No, repeat, no, brown. The colour, brown.
Now, look, okay, for all you Scottish folk giving me a hard time, given I'm putting on this weird diluted version of my natural twang just so all these foreigners can understand me, but even when I do clean it up, it's still a problem.
What kinds of toxins?
I'm sorry, Detective, but I did not mention any actions. However,
for the most part, the Origins demo held up. While this video is very much in context of Inworld's tools, my issue is very much a reflection of the state of the art in the field. I've spent close to 20 years dealing with speech-to-text pipelines being simply unable to understand my accent. That said, I'm actually impressed by how well it worked in Origins. As I say, it worked the vast majority of the time, and that's better than most other tools out there. I suspect this will continue to improve in the coming years as the state of the art for voice recognition improves, alongside all the additional work that Inworld is going to do under the hood. So while I have my misgivings, the batting average was pretty decent, and this leads us to the third and final element, taking the text generated by the NPCs and piping that into speech. But while the text and narrative being generated by characters is quite impressive, the text-to-speech system, which is what translates the text generation for the NPC into spoken dialogue, is the weakest part of the product. It's a functionally coherent system, given it can successfully speak aloud any dialogue the NPC generates, but the voice quality often kills a lot of the emotional nuance happening in the game.
Your organization? Did you have something to do with this?
I don't know what you're talking about, officer, but let me ask you something. Do you want to see Metropolis fall into the hands of machines? Do you want to see robots taking over our jobs, our homes, and our lives? Or do you want to stand with us and help Duke Blue and the Blue Party crush this rise of robots once and for all? It's time for humans to reclaim their rightful place in the city, and I think you could be a valuable asset in that fight.
Now, let's be clear, this isn't really the fault of Inworld specifically, but rather it's a reflection of the state of the art in this technology. All of this is because the dialogue is generated as text and then the voice is being generated at runtime as a separate pass. As such, the emotional connection between the dialogue and how it should be delivered is lost. Again, I suspect this is something that will improve in the years to come. That said, the voice deliveries did have some highlights. One thing that Inworld's API provides is the ability to synchronize animations with voice line delivery. Characters have a set of emotional states that are meant to be a reflection of how their interactions with characters are influencing them, and this in turn can be built in your game engine of choice such that either facial or full body animations can be played during dialogue to reflect what is being said. From my understanding of the API, that is something that is very much in the hands of developers, given the system maps emotions as parameters for use in animation trees. So fear not, character animators, it looks like you got plenty more work coming your way.
So what's your favourite YouTube channel about AI for video games?
Actually, I haven't come across any YouTube channel specifically about AI for video games.
What?
But now that you mention it, that sounds like a fascinating topic. Do you have any recommendations?
What type of life forms did you find?
Animals of unknown origin and broken butts.
So there were no humans in the rubble?
No, there were no humans in the rubble.
So for this initial video looking at what Inworld is developing, I wanted to provide my perspective on what Origins demo is all about. What are the real strengths and weaknesses of the tools that they've employed as they currently stand? In conclusion, it strikes me as an interesting first attempt. The text generation is largely stable and keeps characters narratively consistent. There is a reasonably good balance between it reverting to established knowledge, while also using additional information to flesh out conversational dialogue and to prevent it feeling too rigid. Plus, characters across the board do feel unique and varied from one another, both in terms of their dialogue and respective ideologies. The pipeline itself is stable, and while I had my issues and spots, it enables for real-time conversations using just your voice in a game engine, and I imagine the tech will only continue to improve in the coming months. You can try out the Origins demo now on Steam, and I'd encourage you to try it out yourselves and share your thoughts with us here in the comments. Plus, if you're a developer and keen to try out Inworld's tools yourself, then check out the links in the video description and in my pinned comment to see how you can sign up and start testing the tech yourself in your engine of choice. You can sign up with a free account and start building your own AI characters, and then scale up if and when you need to, and start using the paid subscription tiers. Thanks once again to Inworld for sponsoring this video, and I'll be back soon with another episode as we dig deeper into the toolchain and find out from Inworld directly how it all works. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video all about Origins. I hope you found it interesting. Take care of yourselves, folks, and I'll be back.